In the past, I've suggested that a very powerful form of evidence in your Social Security disability case might be a letter or statement from a former coworker or supervisor, someone who had seen you at work. What exactly should that statement or letter say? I'm Jonathan Ginsberg, and I'm a Social Security disability attorney. And this is actually a very interesting topic, something suggested to me by one of my YouTube subscribers named Avery. Avery, thank you very much for making a really strong suggestion, very useful one. And by the way, if you have any suggestions for me, please let me know. So basically what I've said is that in the past is that judges find statements from former coworkers and supervisors very, very credible, very helpful evidence because, of course, those folks have seen you working. And since the issue in a disability case is whether or not you have capacity for work, it stands to reason that a statement from a former coworker or supervisor who has seen problems you've had trying to work would be very persuasive. So what exactly should those letters say? Well, first of all, you need to make sure that this letter is in the right format. I would suggest that you use a Social Security document or form, SSA 795, which is called a statement of the claimant or other person. It can be done in the form of a letter, to whom it may concern letter, but if you want to make sure that it gets to the right place, use SSA 795, use that form. And basically this is just a blank form where you can pretty much say whatever you want to say, and it'll be submitted as evidence in your case. And again, your former coworker or supervisor can submit it either through you or your attorney or directly to Social Security. Ideally, it'd be done through your attorney, so it can be submitted the right way with the proper barcode, so it'll get associated with your file. So what should it say? Well, first of all, I think you need to state, I'll refer to this as you, as the former coworker or supervisor, need to describe or state how long you have known the claimant, how long this person has known you. Obviously, a person who's known you for 5 or 6 years, that statement is going to be more powerful than someone who's known you for 3 weeks. So obviously you want to try to get statements from people who've known you for several months or years, if at all possible. What is the nature of the relationship? Is it a former coworker? Is it a former supervisor? Is it a vendor, someone who observed you in a work site? You need to describe what is the nature of that relationship and how frequently did that person see you? Is it something where they saw you on a daily basis? Was it something where they maybe saw you once or twice a week? How well did they know you, and how often did they have a chance to observe you in the workspace and doing your type of job? Next thing is really important that the person making the statement needs to describe what he or she actually saw, not what he or she heard. So, I heard from somebody else that Joe was having a lot of trouble climbing stairs. That's not very good. I personally observed Joe trying to climb stairs, and it took him 10 minutes to go up a flight of 8 or 9 stairs, which should have taken maybe 15 or 20 seconds. And he grimaced. He was in a lot of pain based on what he said and based on his movements. You want to be very specific as to what you personally observed. Otherwise, it's called hearsay. It'll have less credibility. Even though Social Security uses a relaxed standard of evidence, when you talk about something that somebody else told you, that does not have as much evidentiary value because, again, you're not describing it from personal observation. You want to come across as an observer, not an advocate. So you don't want to come across as someone who's trying to help somebody get Social Security. You want to come across as, this is what I have observed. And be very, very clinical about it. Try to avoid using adjectives like it was obvious he was in terrible pain. Don't editorialize, just state the facts as to what you personally observed. If you saw your friend or person who's asking you for the statement over time, describe the changes over time. I've been working with Tom for 5 years. The last 6 months of his employment before he left in March of 2019, his performance degraded significantly because. So you want to give some sort of a sense of how long you've seen the person, and if you've seen them over time and they've deteriorated over time, that can be very helpful to the judge. If if the person, the claimant, was getting special considerations, let Social Security know about that. So if the person was getting help from coworkers, we could tell that Joe no longer had the capacity to lift more than 5 pounds. Our job required lifting 25 pounds. We would help him out. We would help Joe out in doing any kind of lifting because we knew he couldn't do it anymore. And if you were doing that and making sure that the supervisor didn't know, or maybe the supervisor knew and because Joe had been there for a long time, you could say that as well. But if it's a situation where we were concerned, coworkers and I were concerned that Joe was going to lose his job, so we helped him out very quietly so that the supervisor and the company owner didn't see us. They did see a couple of times, but we tried to mask it the best way we could so that Joe was getting his production quota made, even though he was not physically able to do the work. Or we donated personal leave because Joe was having numerous absences. He was having to leave work early, or he was taking unscheduled breaks. We covered for him. And you could describe in detail how you covered for him. Again, you want to eliminate adjectives where you describe what you think was going on with Joe. It was obvious Joe was in terrible pain. He was suffering tremendously. Well, you may think that, but you don't really know. But if you're going to describe what you observed, whenever Joe would have to take a step on a ladder, it was clear to me he was in pain. He grimaced. He expressed verbally that he was in a lot of pain. He moved very, very slowly compared to the way he moved 3 years previously or 12 months previously. Joe was moving extremely slowly. He was very deliberate. There were certain postural changes he couldn't make. He couldn't twist. He couldn't bend. He couldn't lift more than 5 pounds, whereas the job required 15 to 20 pounds of lifting. He could not sit for more than 7 to 10 minutes before having to stand up and take a break. He was taking excessive breaks to go lie down on a couch, and we would warn him when the supervisor was coming. He would go into the bathroom for 15 or 20 minutes at a time so he could rest. He was leaving early, and we donated our leave time to him. You want to be very specific and just describe the facts as much as you can. If you saw Joe take medicines, pain medications, or use a pain patch, we observed many times Joe having to take medications because of what he described as severe pain. About 20, 30 minutes after he took those medications, he got very spacey. He became difficult for him to concentrate. We'd have to repeat ourselves. He couldn't remember things. We'd have to explain it over and over to him. We couldn't trust him to do anything involving hazardous equipment or dangerous machinery, unprotected heights. Again, you want to be very, very descriptive as to specifically what Joe could or could not do. You don't want to draw conclusions about Joe's capacity for other work. You can simply say, in this manufacturing job, by the time he left, by the time he was terminated or he resigned, Joe was no longer able to work around this equipment because it was hazardous. He was taking pain medications, and he couldn't. His reflexes had gotten slow. We were afraid he was going to hurt himself or hurt one of his coworkers, and therefore we urged him, or I urged him, to quit. Or we observed his supervisor giving him demerits for not performing quickly enough or not doing the work accurately and safely, and that, in our opinion, my opinion, is why Joe was terminated. We have heard from him. It's obvious from what he's told me, he misses the work, he misses the camaraderie, but he simply tells me that he does not have the capacity to do this anymore, and based on my observations, I think that's correct. I think he would have a very difficult time working because of his reliability is no longer there. His strength has decreased dramatically. His mobility has decreased. His flexibility has decreased. His lifting capacity has decreased. His ability to sit or stand in one place for more than 15 or 20 minutes has gone, and this job requires someone to sit or stand for 30 to 40, 50 minutes at a time. So again, be very, very factual, describe what you have observed, and keep in mind you can only just talk about what you personally know. Don't hypothesize about what Joe could or could not do on another job job or what kind of pain Joe might have been in. Only talk about what you personally observed. If you put that in your own words, or maybe have the claimant's attorney review it and firm it up a little bit, that can be very, very helpful evidence in someone's disability case. So again, if you are a claimant and you're trying to get help from a former coworker, give them a sense of what they need to say, show them this video and give them an idea of what they need to say. If you are a former coworker or supervisor, then this will give you some ideas of what to talk about. Reliability, capacity for function, physical issues, lifting, standing, stooping, crawling, kneeling, that sort of thing, or what they call non-exertional limitations, being in pain, quickness of work, pace of work, ability to maintain attention and concentration, behaving in an emotionally stable manner. If Joe would break down in tears, or if Joe would have episodes where he could not remember things, those are very, very relevant as well. So these are the type of things you want to put in one of these statements. Any questions, please reach out to me. You can do so through the comments on YouTube or on Facebook. Visit my website at ssdanswers.com, and you can download my free Secrets to Winning Disability Survival Kit. A lot of great information there. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, like it on Facebook, and again, if I can be of help to you, please let me know. This is Jonathan Ginsberg, wishing you the best. Thanks a lot. Hi, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to know more about how to win your Social Security disability case, I'd like to invite you to download my Secrets to Getting Approved Early Survival Kit that I created just for people like you. Currently, I'm making the Survival Kit available at no cost, and I encourage you to grab your copy now. Some of the topics I cover include: how do I know if I have a case? Is it the right time for me to file my claim? 9 common mistakes that can doom your case. The 3 must-have arguments you use to win your case. And a topic that every disability claimant wants to know: how to avoid trick questions from the judge. If you or a loved one need to win Social Security disability benefits, you'll find the Survival Kit essential reading. Download your Survival Kit right now and at no cost. Just visit ssdanswers.com/survival and sign up. It's that easy. Please act now. And as always, I wish you the best.